I will only speak of what is the reality.
We always, and I like no like one. And I just a choose Jamaica. For all the years. And I just a choose. After all the years, and I just a choose
Madam,
Jamaica. All these years. Can't believe. And I just a choose Jamaica. Can't. Go on, Mike. Go on, Mike. Yeah. Back to God.
Members,
No distraction.
members, the member from Manchester Northwest is on his feet and would like to commence his presentation.
thank you, Madam Speaker, for your protection. Madam Speaker, today will likely be my final presentation on this side of the House during a sectoral debate. I give thanks to the Almighty for His continued strength and guidance. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people and continue to help them. Hebrews 6, verse 10. Madam Speaker, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to the people of Northwest Manchester who have trusted me and expressed their desire for me to continue the good work I began 3 terms ago. Madam Speaker, I want to recognize the students from the Coley Mountain Primary School who are here in the gallery. To my 4 councillors, Rhoda, 4 councillors. Rohan Kennedy, Deputy Mayor, Mile Gully Division. Devon Wilson from the Johns Hall Division. Andrew Smith, New Green Division. And Ryan Peart from the Spur Tree Division. My executive team and staff. My driver, and to the many visitors who are here in the gallery from Northwest Manchester. To my Northwest Manchester family, I love you. Love you. To my family, to my family, to my wife Rhonda, daughters Isabel and Gabriella, my brother Luke, who is here in the gallery, my other brother Jacob saw it fit to serve at the CCJ, who came to visit me yesterday, who was in the island. And to my other siblings, I express profound gratitude for your unwavering support. I could not have taken this journey without you. Some of my colleagues and I have developed lifelong friendships on both sides. And some of us may never agree. We yet serve the people we represent. It has been a lifelong changing experience for many of us. Let us all put Jamaica first. Now to the substantive topics. A transport sector in crisis. Madam Speaker, nowhere else in the government is a lack of policy and inept operational plans more evident than in the public transport sector. The almost 10 years of JLP administration have seen constant decline from crisis to crisis. In the end, commuters and transport operators are worse off. The Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, is in the worst financial and operational state. Madam Speaker, the state of our transportation sector has been a topic of ongoing concern, especially this deteriorating condition of the JUTC. This government has cycled through 4 different ministers of transport, yet the sector remains stagnant. Today, the JUTC is in the worst state of history, losing almost $100 billion under this administration. If Jamaica had properly invested those taxpayers' dollars, the country would have had a public transport system unmatched anywhere else in the world and the region. Instead, it is the opposite. Productivity is low and public frustration is high. And the National Happiness Index reflects that reality. This government has failed the transportation sector and, by extension, the people of Jamaica. We on this side have offered several recommendations, not for headlines, but because we know of a robust, efficient, and reliable transport system is essential in real economic growth. That growth is missing, and the transport sector, transport crisis is a significant reason. We have repeatedly asked, where is the National Transportation Plan? What is the long-term vision to improve the public transportation system, especially for the 1 million Jamaicans who depend on it daily? This government's ad hoc patchwork approach has not and will not work for commuters or operators. Just in case you forget, and many of you on that side will not remember, that the JUTC was created in 1998 through great sacrifice by taxpayers and the then existing franchise holders. The then PNP government, let me repeat it again, the then PNP government envisioned a first-class transit system in Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, including Portmore and Spanish Town, with eventual expansion to Montego Bay through the Montego Bay Metro and other rural areas. That was rail planning, putting Jamaica first, not political expediency. But where are we now? Let the numbers speak for themselves, because you like talking about let the numbers speak. Passengers carried in 2016, 63 million passengers. In 2024, 18 million passengers. Daily bus run out. Daily bus run out. 450 daily. In 2024, 203 buses running out daily. But it even gets worse, Madam Speaker. Operational cost recovery in 2020, in 2016 was 70%. In 2024, 12%. And it even get worse than that. Because fearbox revenue in 2016 was $4.5 billion. In 2024, a mere $1.4 billion. This year, the JUTC is expected to record a loss of $13 billion with a government of Jamaican subsidy of $11 billion. Despite operating with less than half the required fleet, shame on you. Taxpayers are spending more to operate a broken bus system. You are more concerned about headlines than dealing with the reality of an ailing JUTC. I hear say you owe some money a back road, you need to go pay the bill. Madam Speaker, we asked the Minister for answers during the Standing Finance Committee in March. And that's why, Madam Speaker, for me, the Standing Finance Committee, we are really making a dolly house of the Standing Finance Committee. Because when serious questions are asked, no response is forthcoming. But yet still we are required to come here to hold the ministers and the budget accountable. But in March I asked the questions which the minister promised to respond to. But up to now, we have not gotten any response. So let me remind him, because the public still needs and demands these answers. What would cause a $1.8 billion increase in salaries at the JUTC for this fiscal year, as stated in the public bodies, from $4.32 billion to $6.12 billion, and still running out half the fleets of buses? What would cause a $414 million increase? $414 million increase in toll charges from $194 million to $608 million. I will implore you, if you don't have the answer, quiet. Madam Speaker, currently 127. No, but member. Currently, 127 of the 200 buses in operation are CNG-powered buses. Yet, only one CNG fueling station is at the Portmore depot out of all 3 depots operated by the JUTC. While CNG buses are deployed to Spanish Town and Rockfort, so these buses must drive from Rockfort and Spanish Town to refuel at Portmore. How does this make any sense? The current fueling station at Portmore, Madam Speaker, has a capacity to fuel 150 buses. And we are at near full capacity, 127. And 70 more CNG buses are scheduled to arrive in the country in July with no other fueling capacity. What? Where exactly will they be refueled, Madam Speaker? This is another example. It cannot be refueled at Portmore because it only has a capacity for 150 buses. This is another example, Madam Speaker, of poor planning and administrative failure. We on this side have long championed the introduction of rural school bus services. I proposed such a program in a previous sectoral presentation. While the JUTC has begun rolling out rural buses for the school buses, rural school buses, serious questions still remain. What are the age and mileage of the used buses that are being purchased? Where will they be parked and maintained daily? How will they be fueled? What arrangements have been put in place to fuel these buses out in the rural areas? Who will operate the buses and what structure has been established? What is the cost of the subsidy? Because the JUTC bus now running to Morant Bay, when it deadheads in Morant Bay, it has to be parked at the police station. Catch at the police station. No. I expect that if we are rolling out a system with an additional 100 buses, the infrastructure ought to be put in place to facilitate these buses. The lack of infrastructure makes this program unsustainable in its current form. We are proposing the right program, Rural Initiative for Delivering Education. A partnership with private operators and subsidized transportation for 20,000 school children, island-wide, compared to the 4,000 proposed in this government's plan. This plan will focus on children who must take more than one transport to get to school, impacting those families even more. It is not only the town centers to town centers, it will also be from those faraway communities, like some of those you have, member from Western St. Mary, which most likely do not have any dedicated routes. What we need is a rail national transport plan. We need a comprehensive national transport strategy that includes a plan to urgently revitalize the JUTC, which is projected to receive an $11 billion subsidy this year, while also incurring a $14 billion loss. The integration of the over 100,000 licensed public passenger operators, including the 8,000 in the KMTR, in a proper transport plan. Development of a national school bus system with private sector integration. Construction of adequate parking infrastructure in our town centers. A modernized transport authority capable of gathering real-time data and acting as a true regulatory agency. The time has come to get it right. Within our first 100 days in office, we will implement a workable franchise system in the KMTR, not the one that is now bandied around by the minister. Roll out and organize workable and affordable school bus service and begin restructuring the transport sector with Jamaica at the center of our decisions. Madam Speaker, the tragic death of 29-year-old teacher Daniel Anglin, who disappeared on May 13, 2024, after reportedly using a ride-sharing app, has cast a spotlight on the urgent need for regulation in this sector. Her remains were later found in Salt River, Clarendon. The suspect believed to be a driver for a ride-sharing service, had a prior arrest for sexual assault in 2015. This incident underscores the critical gaps in our current system, where background checks and safety protocols are insufficient. In response, the Minister of Transport announced an immediate 12-month ban on all ride-sharing apps. The decision aimed to address national security concerns and the lack of regulatory oversight. The ban mandates that these services cease operations until they comply with local laws and regulations. Madam Speaker, while the intent to protect our citizens is commendable, a blanket ban is not the most effective action. It is imperative that we develop a comprehensive regulatory framework that includes mandatory background checks for all drivers, certification and licensing requirements for ride-sharing companies, clear guidelines for data sharing between ride-sharing companies and law enforcement agencies, public awareness campaigns to educate citizens on safe usage of ride-sharing services. Madam Speaker, we must balance innovation with safety. Ride-sharing services offer convenience and economic opportunities, but pose significant risks without proper regulation. Let us work collaboratively to establish a system that ensures the safety of our citizens while embracing technological advancements in transportation. The government has dropped the ball on this one, making announcements for headlines. Madam Speaker, no conversation about transportation sector is complete without addressing the backbone of our commuter landscape, our taxi operators. Route taxi drivers and hackney carriage operators move thousands of Jamaicans daily, particularly in underserved areas where JUTC cannot reach and our rural communities. For many Jamaicans, the taxi driver is the first ride of the day and the last one home at night. Taxi drivers are not just drivers, they are community figures, small business operators, and a core part of the public transport ecosystem. But, Madam Speaker, the reality is that the sector remains fragmented, unstructured, and in urgent need of integration. And yes, we acknowledge that some behaviors within the taxi sector can be unruly and contribute to public frustration. But the answer is not to vilify or exclude them. It is to create a system where accountability, opportunity, and respect go hand in hand. We need them, and they need us. For decades, taxi operators have functioned in a semi-informal space, regulated, yes, but without any real stake in the broader transport plan that has led to route overlaps, conflicts with the JUTC services, inconsistent fare structures, lack of investment in fleet upgrades. It's time to bring order, respect, and opportunity to the taxi sector, starting with a workable franchise system in the KMTR. Our proposed solutions are: one, create a tiered taxi franchise framework, establish a zonal franchise model where operators apply to serve specific corridors, prioritize routes underserved by the JUTC, not what was offered by the minister recently, offer exclusive rights to operate on designated routes within franchise agreements, giving operators security and predictability. Secondly, to digitize and register all operators. Create a centralized digital taxis registry under the Transport Authority. Allow passengers to access verified driver information and route data via app or SMS. We will launch a Know Your Driver portal, driver app, allowing customers to verify license status, view a driver's ID, and submit a feedback. This enhances accountability, safety, and data collection for policy development. Thirdly, subsidize and incentivize upgrades, offer tax breaks, fuel concessions, and low-interest loans to operators who participate in the franchise system and upgrade their vehicles to those conducive to public transport and safety. We want to lift them from the ground up. We will launch a national taxi modernization grant and loan facility in collaboration with the DBJ and private lenders. This facility will offer low-interest loans and partial grants to taxi operators who join the franchise system and commit to upgrade their vehicles.
Working government, this will be.
Fourthly, develop designated pickup zones and taxi hubs. Collaborate with local municipal corporations to build structured taxi stands in key commercial centers and transport hubs. This reduces congestion and brings dignity to the profession and to the traveling public. Fifthly, to professionalize the industry. Launch a national taxi operator training and certification program covering customer service, defensive driving, fare handling, and dispute resolution. Certified drivers under the franchise system will wear visible ID badges, improving public trust and safety. Because if you have a system, Madam Speaker, if you have a system that doesn't work, we will ensure that it works properly for those who are in the system. Modernize fare structures and integrated payment. Pilot smart fare system or prepaid cards that can be used across JUTC and franchise taxes. This supports seamless mobility and transparent revenue tracking. Not my fault, that's what I can't think about it. Madam Speaker, we cannot continue to treat our taxi operators as outliers. We must treat them as partners in national development. A well-managed franchise taxi system will not only ease the burden on the JUTC, but also increase public transport access, safety, and dignity. This government had 9 years to organize the sector and has failed the people of Jamaica.
Shame on you.
We are ready. Within our first 100 days in office, we will begin consultations and pilot projects to bring structure, opportunity, and respect to our taxi sector across the KMTR and eventually right across the island. Madam Speaker, while we talk about buses, roads, and franchises, we cannot ignore what happens daily on our streets: indiscipline, congestion, and reckless driving. From illegal overtaking to red light violations and dangerous pedestrians crossings. Jamaica's roads have become chaotic, and the consequences are deadly. In 2024 alone, we lost over 400 lives to road crashes, many of them preventable. What is obvious is that high fines are not a deterrent for persons to observe the law. What we need is a culture change. We need decisive action. We propose expanding the electronic ticketing and traffic camera system across all parishes, not just in urban centers. Let accountability follow wherever lawlessness occurs. Reviewing.
House Leader, the member's time for speaking has expired.
Madam Speaker, I ask that the Speaker be allowed another 15 minutes to complete his presentation.
Members, the question is that the member be allowed 15 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Member?
Come on, Mikael.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, members. Madam Speaker, we propose expanding electronic ticketing and trafficking camera system across all parishes, not just urban centers. Let accountability follow wherever lawlessness occurs. Review and updating the Road Traffic Act to include modern transport realities. E-scooters, personal mobility devices, and ride-sharing logistics must now be governed by clear rules. Designating and enforcing safe pedestrian zones in every town center with proper signage, speed limits, and crossing lights. Madam Speaker, traffic law enforcement cannot be a Kingston issue. It must be a national standard. Our roads must be safe for all Jamaicans. Madam Speaker, the mining sector significantly contributes to our GDP and foreign exchange earnings. However, the concern raised by affected communities must be addressed. Dust, land degradation, lack of consultation, and environmental impact. Mining can no longer be merely about extraction. It must be a part of a sustainable development strategy. Madam Speaker, this government must commit not only to mining, but also sustainable and equitable mining practices. Regulations must be modernized to reflect the realities of our communities and the global standards we aspire to meet. Additionally, we must actively engage the local stakeholders to ensure grassroots voices shape the future of this sector. The communities that have borne the brunt of mining's negative impacts are owed not only compensation, but also empowerment and investment in their future. Madam Speaker, we must strengthen environmental regulations and enforce land reclamation. Reinvest mining revenues into impacted communities, infrastructure, healthcare, and education. Not 2 tablets and a painting of a school. Proper infrastructure. ensure transparency in mining leases and community assessments, develop a national minerals policy focused on value-added production, such as refining and manufacturing, instead of raw exports. Madam Speaker, I'm sorry that the minister isn't here, but there's an issue that I keep asking the minister. What of those bauxite companies that are still in possession of prime agricultural land that are underutilized? Just like Grove Place in my own constituency. Probably have about 20 cows and probably about 1,000 acres of land. Why can't those lands go back into the hands of farmers who can utilize them in productivity? And you have some communities, like that in my own constituency, where we have been promised for years about taking the heavy equipments off the public road and building haul roads to take the trucks. But the promises keep on coming every year, but yet still no haul roads. And then the community is at painstake for them to help to even patch the road or bush it. Why is it that the government agencies keep on giving them a license when they are not holding their end of the bargain? Mining must serve the people, not the other way around, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move on to roads. Quality roads are essential for national development. Yet roads in both rural and urban Jamaica remain in poor condition. Too often we talk about infrastructure. The focus is on big highways and flashy ribbon cutting projects. But in most rural communities, residents are left navigating crumbling roads, narrow corners, and overgrown verges, right? Member from Central? The message is clear. Rural Jamaica feels forgotten. All of Jamaica feels forgotten. That is why we are calling for a rural connectivity and equity strategy to ensure every Jamaican, regardless of postal code, has reliable access to transport, school, healthcare, and commerce. We propose a national rural road upgrade program that prioritizes access roads, not just main roads. Embedding a rural infrastructure equity index into national planning to ensure fair allocation of resources. Let us stop treating rural infrastructure as charity. It is a right and a necessity for rural Jamaica. Millions are spent in select areas, while many community roads are ignored. This imbalance is unacceptable. Good roads are not a luxury. They are essential for productivity, access to services, and economic activity. Once again, I call for a national road rehabilitation and maintenance plan. What we have now is unsustainable. The government spends between $5 and $8 billion annually, but that is far from enough. But that is far from enough. The central government alone cannot carry this burden. So we have found ourselves in a vortex of unrehabilitated roads. The Spark program was introduced as a solution, but the question is it sustainable? Given the current funding and costs, can it realistically rehabilitate the 600 roads that the minister and the prime minister keep panning about? Or will it simply flicker out like so many other failed promises? Now we hear of a proposed one road authority. Let me caution this House, before we go down that road, let us have a full stakeholder consultation. We believe that the municipal corporations still have a critical role in managing Jamaica's 27,000 kilometers of roads. Because, Mr. Speaker, my apologies. Let us find real solutions for financing road maintenance, not just shifting responsibility around. You are putting the cart before the horse. Have you forgotten that you have been in government for 9 years? Yet still the country is still, we are still awaiting a plan. Oh, Mr. Speaker, there are concerns about the Spark program. Because as it is now, the contractor is not up to full speed with all the projects. But it is evident that the contractor cannot handle all 4 packages. Because the minister announced package 4, but yet still the 2 roads in my own constituency were on package 1. Persons in package 2 and 3 started even before roads on package 1. The member from East Kingston, his road has stalled after the ribbon cutting and groundbreaking. You have contractors subcontracting to other subcontractors, subcontractors contracting to other subcontractors. We want to know, why is it? Because the 600 roads that has been bandied about, and if I am to look at, each MP was asked to choose 10 roads. But when I look at the cost of the first 2 roads in my own constituency and the 293 million that is attributed to Northwest Manchester, I won't be getting no more than about 4 or 5 roads. So the 10 roads that have been promised, what has really happened is that they have set me up with my constituents thinking that it is 10 roads that we would have gotten. But the truth is that, Minister, we have to be honest with the people of Jamaica. Because the Spark program which you have promoted, the Spark program, as I started out, I said it is a start. But what is truly needed is a national plan on how it is that we are going to sustainably rehabilitate our road network. So we propose a national rural roads rehabilitation plan, including a 10-year national rehabilitation and maintenance plan, a national road maintenance fund so that we can fund consistently a proper road maintenance program, a comprehensive drainage maintenance program, decentralized road maintenance budgets, a focus on climate-resilient road designs. We remain committed to a Jamaica where no community will be left behind. And national priorities, not party politics, drive road development. In closing, Mr. Speaker, after almost 10 years in office, some people are promising to choose Jamaica. We have been doing that since 1938. And repeatedly, at all material times, particularly in 1944 and 1962, it is our lifeblood. Choose Jamaica a long time. We understand the needs of Jamaica and Jamaicans. We are ready to build a thriving, productive, safe, and healthy society for all. It is by our deeds that people will know us. As we come to the end of the life of this parliament, Lord, dismiss us with thy blessing. You are so small-minded, you can't even read the scriptures. Dismiss us with thy blessing. Thanks for mercies past received. And those returning are more faithful than before. Mr. Speaker, God bless Jamaica. Land we love. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.